For hundreds of thousands of years, humans lived in small, mobile bands. There was little hierarchy because there was very little to hoard. But around 4000 BCE, in places like Mesopotamia, we stopped moving. We settled down between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers and fixed permanently behind the mud brick walls of early cities. This shift to agriculture shocked the human body. As we traded wild foraging for the geometric rows of wheat and barley, diets became severely restricted. The average height for men dropped from 5'9" to 5'3". We became smaller, prone to disease, and utterly bound to the specific plots of land we relied on to survive. This diagram illustrates what happens when a society relies on massive agricultural yields. Someone has to plan the harvest, manage the storage, and distribute the rations. That logistical necessity pulled a relatively flat, horizontal population into a rigid vertical arrangement. At the wide base of this new structure, tens of thousands of peasants spent from dawn to dusk performing strenuous manual labor. Meanwhile, a fraction of a percent of the population sat comfortably at the apex, absorbing the surplus wealth those farmers generated. No rational person volunteers for a lifetime of unrewarded toil. Without a biological reason to accept such extreme inequality, the elite had to invent mechanisms to keep the masses working. They had to engineer systems of authority. The first mechanism of control was to claim a monopoly on the cosmos. Ancient Egyptian rulers positioned themselves as the literal bridge between the gods and humanity. The pharaoh was marketed as the sole figure capable of ensuring the sun rose and the Nile flooded. Because the pharaoh's survival in the afterlife supposedly guaranteed the universe's order, extracting labor from the population became a religious imperative. The Great Pyramids of Giza required a labor-intensive 20-year mobilization of stonemasons, artisans, and peasant farmers. Thousands of miles east, ancient China developed a more conditional version of this concept. The Zhou dynasty introduced the mandate of heaven, dictating that the cosmos granted authority to exactly one ruler at a time. But this mandate came with a severe liability. If an emperor failed to act with virtue, the heavens would supposedly signal their displeasure through droughts, famines, or earthquakes. Natural disasters were read as a revocation of their right to rule. This ideological pressure traces back to the legendary Xia dynasty. Its founder, Yu the Great, spent 13 years traveling the Yellow River, engineering the levees and dikes that stopped catastrophic flooding. He established a precedent where power followed capability. Relying on the weather to validate authority was a dangerous game. To maintain stability, empires eventually needed tools of control that were less reliant on the heavens and rooted firmly in the earth. When celestial threats lose their edge, rulers turn to physical enforcement. They codify the class divide into law. Around 1772 BCE, the Babylonian king Hammurabi carved a system of 282 laws into a massive stone slab. It replaced the vague will of the gods with a permanent, physical list of rules and punishments. The code explicitly protected the hierarchy. It established strict castes, dictating that breaking a noble's bone carried a far harsher penalty than destroying the eye of a slave. The law itself was designed to protect the top of the pyramid from the bottom. A similar mechanism emerged during China's Warring States period. A philosophy known as legalism argued that the only way to achieve social order was through a highly centralized state, wielding a strict system of rewards and harsh penalties. Legalism operates on the assumption that people act only in their own self-interest. Therefore, the state must control the military, the economy, and the populace with ruthless discipline. A heavy, iron-fisted legal code forces compliance through fear. Yet maintaining a constant state of terror is expensive and exhausting. No empire possesses the endless manpower required to violently police every single citizen through force alone. The final strategy shifts control from the streets to the psyche, teaching the population to internalize their position. During the decline of the Zhou dynasty, Confucianism provided exactly this ideological framework. It centered on the concept of li, a system of manners and rituals that framed strict obedience to the social hierarchy not as a burden, but as a high moral duty. Taoism worked alongside this by instructing individuals to align themselves with the natural flow of the universe. It taught the peasant farmer to seek internal harmony and ignore external political matters they could not control. In the Mediterranean, the chaos of early Athenian democracy led the intellectual elite to search for more stable models. To them, allowing thousands of random citizens to vote on state affairs resulted in total chaos. In his book, The Republic, the philosopher Plato proposed a highly structured society managed by a singular philosopher king. Plato argued that only a man who had dedicated his life to logic and reasoning was fit to navigate the complex ship of state. Whether it was Greek logic or Eastern harmony, elite philosophy served a practical purpose. When these ideologies take root, the lower classes stay at the bottom of the pyramid because they believe it is a moral and natural good. Divine right, strict laws, and guiding philosophy represent the diverse tools ancient states used to stabilize their societies. They were separate solutions to the same core challenge. Every ancient civilization needed a way to extract immense labor and wealth from the majority, without allowing that inequality to tear the society apart from within. The pharaohs of Egypt, the kings of Babylon, and the emperors of the Zhou dynasty are gone, but the blueprint of governance they created survived them. Modern societies still grapple with this same balancing act, navigating the tension between the rule of law, the perceived merit of our leaders, and the ideologies that keep our social order intact.